Alright, on Moodle, go into the folder Excel files 2A, 2C, and 2E. And go ahead and open EO2A flavor inventory. So once it downloads, go ahead and open it. And what we're going to be doing here is we're going to be learning different formula types. So we're going to be using a little bit of logic to actually do our formulas. And we're going to be working for the Laurel's Herbs and Spices and kind of managing that company's inventory to see how these formulas would actually work in real life. So go ahead and once it opens, go to File, Save As, and make sure you go to your computer folder. And in front of that, you're going to put your first name underscore last name. So it should be your first name, last name, EO2A, flavor inventory, and then click Save. So we're going to be looking at different items in this list. So if you guys scroll through the list, it's kind of a long list. Not too long, so it's probably a small company. So in cell A4, we're going to type in total items in stock. In cell A5, we're going to type in average price. In cell A6, we're going to type in median price. All right, in cell B4, we are going to sum the total items in stock. So if you look at the column titles down here, the quantity in stock is what we're going to be looking at. So do equals sum, open parenthesis, and select A11 all the way down to A65. Close that parenthesis and press enter. So you should have about 11,015 items in stock. Alright, so now what we're going to look at is the average price. So if you look at the column titles down here, retail price is the column we're going to be looking at. So the formula for that is equals average, open parenthesis, and then click on D11 and select all the way down to D65, close the parenthesis and press enter. And the median, so come into B6, and we're going to need the median price. So equals median, open parenthesis, retail price. Most of the things you have to calculate in Excel will have a very sensical name to it, so median makes sense. So close that parenthesis, select all the way down to D65 and press enter. So yours should be, your average price should be $8.72 and your median price should be $7.85. Alright, so one thing that people want to know before they go into an actual store is usually how much about they're going to spend. So the average and the median are pretty good at telling you that, but you also want to know the most you can spend. So in A7, we're going to type in lowest price, and in A8, we're going to type in highest price. Alright, so in B7, we're going to calculate the lowest price. So type equals, and in math, you guys know that when you're calculating things, you need the minimum and the maximum. So we're going to say equals min, open the parenthesis, and then select D11 through D65. Close the parenthesis and press enter. And for the highest price, it's going to be the max. So type in max, open parenthesis, select D11 through D65. Close the parenthesis and press enter. So your min should be $2.55 and your highest price should be $31.95. Alright, so take a close look at your items right here. One of these is your total items in stock. So your total items in stock is not money, so don't put money format on it. Instead, come up here and put the comma format. And since items, the number of items can't be in half amounts, we're going to go ahead and decrease the decimal value so it reads a little easier. Now your average price, median price, lowest price, and highest price are all money amounts. So go ahead and select B5 through B8, do a counting format, and we want the decimals on those. Alright, so now we want to see this little bulk of items in the very top a little more centered. So go ahead and select A4 through B8 and move your mouse. It's right at the top so you can see the little move box and drag it until you see D4 to E8 and drop it there. Okay, so now you have some dollar sign issues. So in order to fix those, make sure you resize your cells. So resize D, resize E. All right, so now what I need you to do is select C4 through C8 and merge and center those cells and type in flavor statistics. All right click on that cell and go to the Format Cells option. So in here, what I want you to do is go to Font, and I'm going to pick a different color, so I'm going to pick purple. And I'm going to resize that font. So it's a little small for my taste right now. So I'm going to go to like 24. You can pick whatever color, whatever font size you like as long as it fits. And then go to alignment. Now you see in here there's this little orientation thing that you can kind of drag your text to. I'm going to drag mine to about 45 degrees and click OK. And notice that my font size is a little too large. So maybe 14 will more likely do it for me. And just to make it a little more fun, I'm also going to bold it and I'm going to italicize it. Alright, so if you haven't saved recently, go ahead and click the Save button. And then what I want you to do is under row 9, so on 10, you're going to insert 3 rows. So insert, insert, insert. So that now there's a little gap in between your flavor statistics and your actual numbers. So quantity in stock should now be in A13. And look how nicely, if you check in cell E4, your sum has now shifted to include all those new rows. Alright, so now in cell A10, what we're going to do is we're going to type in seasoning types. Alright, and in B10 we're going to try a new formula. It's the Countif. So it's basically a formula that is going to tell you that's actually going to count a number if it meets certain requirements. So go ahead and double click on this Countif, and you see range and you see criteria. So if you come up here to the formula bar, you see there's this little FX button. Go ahead and click it. So now you have this little window pop up. So your range for your seasoning types, we are going to actually hit this little range finder button, and we are going to select G14 all the way down to G65. I'm sorry, it's G68 now. So G14 to G68. And your criteria. So our criteria is going to be seasoning. So we are going to count how many times it says seasoning in column G. So click OK. And there are 20 different types of seasoning. Alright, so now what we're going to do is we're going to look at this as a company actually would. So they need to know when they need to order stuff. So come over into H13 and we are going to make a new column and we're going to call it stock level. So you can readjust column H if that bothers you. Alright, and we are going to use an if function. So we just use a Countif. Now we're going to use an if. So type if, open parenthesis, and hit that little function button up there so it's a little easier to use. So the logical test. This is where we're going to put in our comparison. So what we are going to do is if our quantity of any item is less than 50, then we're going to need to order it. So what we're going to do is click on cell A14. So if A14 is less than 50, that is our logical test. Alright, we're testing to see if any cell is less than 50. Alright, so if it is less than 50, we're going to say order. Alright, and if it's false, so it means we have plenty of it, we're going to say OK. So then click OK. So we're OK on the pepper from Florida. But go ahead and get that fill handle, and we're going to drag that whole formula down through column G, or through column H, all the way to H68. So if you scroll through, now we have we have one order, so we are low on 1. So now what I want you to do is change that. So instead if we're less than 50, say if we're less than like 125. So if we're less than 125 order, and then drag that one down and see. Alright, so there are a few more stick up. So now you can kind of see what the if function does. Alright, now I'm going to show you something kind of useful in Excel. So a lot of these say order, but it's kind of hard to see which ones are which. So what I want you to do is select H14 all the way down to H68, and on your home ribbon, come to the conditional formatting and go to highlight cells rules and say text that contains. Oop, I picked the wrong one. So highlight cells, rules, text that contains. All right, so contain the text. We're going to say order. Okay, and these are different options. I always like to go with the custom format because then I can kind of pick what it looks like. So maybe I'll make it italic. I'll change the color to orange and I'll change the fill to teal. I like orange and I like teal. So then go ahead and click OK. And click OK. And there you go. Any item needs to be ordered is now been highlighted for you. Now if you picked a color you didn't like, you can go back to conditional formatting and go to manage rules. And right here you can actually click edit rule and change whatever you need to change by clicking on format. But I kind of like the way mine looks, so I'm good with mine. Alright, so I'm going to show you an alternate method for using conditional formatting. So select A14 all the way down to A68 and go back to conditional formatting, and there's an option here called data bars. I like the gradient fill personally. You can pick whichever color you like. If you like the solid better, I like the gradient. And this gives you an automatic result of how many of an item you have in comparison to all the others. So obviously 540 is the most we have in red peppercorns. And we're pretty low in other things, but this gives you a pretty obvious display of your actual results. Alright, so one thing that's actually changed in our company is we no longer package things in paper envelopes. So we package them in foil packets. So on the home ribbon, go to Find and Select and go to Replace. So what we're going to do is we're going to find what paper envelope and we're going to replace it with foil packet and then click Replace All. And it's made 19 replacements. So click Close. And if you look under packaging, there's no more paper envelopes, there's only foil packets. Alright, so I want you to make sure that you are in this area right here, so underneath A13 somewhere, and go to Insert and go to Table. So it should automatically select around your table. Make sure your My Table as Headers is selected and then click OK. And you can come to this drop down menu and pick whatever color of table you would like. I like teal and orange, so I might just go with that, but now it's kind of messed up what I look, so I'm going to pick the purple one. Alright, so now what I want you to do is click on the retail price and go ahead and sort that from smallest to largest. Then click on the category and I want you to click on A to Z. Alright, so what we're going to do in cell A11 is you are going to type in extract types. So what I want you to do is type equals count if and then open parentheses. So grab the range and we're going to select categories in our range finder and your criteria is going to be extract and then click OK. So you should have 8 extract types in your results. And go ahead and save if you haven't yet. We're on our last thing. So if you go to File and you go to Print, if you look and you scroll through, it's not going to keep your headers on your other pages. So go ahead and go to Home and go to Page Layout and make sure you scale the width to 1 page. And the other thing that we're going to do is this button right here says Print Titles. So go ahead and click on Print Titles and the rows to repeat at top, go ahead and click that range finder and click on the 13, so row 13. Go back in the window and click OK. So now when you go to File, Print, at the top of each page, your titles for each column are going to repeat. So go ahead and click Save, and go ahead and close out, turn it in on Moodle, and now you are free to work on projects 2C and then 2E. Good luck!